Present day, present time. Welcome back. Another episode of Lain. It's been a little bit again, you know. Weirdly, I've reached the point, and I think we'll acknowledge it a bit more clear with what the future is going to hold for us. But I think I've reached the point where I can't handle as many shows as I thought I could before. So we were on like this weird thing where like I thought I could handle certain amount of shows, a certain amount of days per week for like a certain amount of videos. And that clearly didn't happen. And we did too much. And then we didn't have time for anything. And then I took a long time off, right? And then now we hit a point where I stripped it back and I was like, we're going to do them like once per week. And we're only going to be able to handle each of these, but things should work. And I'm still at a point where I don't think I can handle as many as I can. And also I don't enjoy handling things in the once per week fashion outside of like the weekly shows. But when they're completed, I still hold true to what I initially thought, you know, many of years now, and also still at this point, which is I would prefer to do those multiple per week, which we're going to have to arrange some stuff going further. So it might be a more condensing of slots again, or it might just be one of the slots gets dropped temporarily, or what it is after completion of the shows. Of course it is, but I'm definitely noticing that it's been a little bit harder for me to like actively keep up with 3 shows a week while 3 other shows and try and get them all up within a week. Like it's a little bit too much, I've noticed. So we're gonna get Lain done. I'll be done with that this week 100%. I swear on everything on everything I love. I swear I will be done with it this week, and then we'll kind of just be at a better pace because I'll be at one show less, and then hopefully we go from there, and I kind of decide on what the next step for me will be, and how I want to kind of handle things going forward, if we will have another slot for our pre-2010s, or if I'm just going to kind of do away with it for temporary, or if one of the other slots is going to end up being like put, you know, on hiatus temporarily too, like what the plan is going to be regarding that. We might be able to keep all 3 of them go. ReZero is going to be done for 12 weeks and one more week, so we might actually be able to fit another one in, but I think I have to plan out what we're watching in the winter first, so I should probably get that done like now and have a general idea of what my intentions are regarding that, and then I can really plan out how many shows we're going to be watching, because like Blue Box will be continuing on into the winter, so it's like I can only have maybe 2 other shows, and then I would still have to drop one here. But if we add 3 others, I definitely have to drop one. Like it's not even a question. So it's like just kind of navigating through that. Also within like the 4 or 5 weeks that we're gonna have before winter stuff actually begins, will I have enough time to be able to sit down and maybe a couple times a week with the extra added day of no ReZero, will I be able to sit down and watch everything, is also going to be like a big question. So I gotta work through a few of the things on that part. Anyways, regarding Lain, we should get started on that. We are in an interesting spot. They luckily helped me a bit with the last episode by giving us our recap, but Lain is now at a point where things are looking weird, like as they have been the entirety of the show. We are doing whatever we can to actively end up helping our friend, which is like a nice and a sweet thing, but at the same time like still makes me kind of feel weird, and I don't really know like what are going to be the causes and the things that actually happened here going forward, like if there's any result or anything here, if all that's going to just go to Lane's head and thinking that she can kind of like up and solve any mistaken problem and thing. So it's like, nice, thank you, you're sweet for doing that, but at the same time, like what happens now with everything? Like where do we go? And I'm just at a loss for even like speculation, I guess. So we're just gonna kind of let this all unfold. Hopefully we enjoy. If you look at all the like and subscribe to me, feel free to stick around for the discussion on my content. Episode seriously going with the 12th episode of Serial Experiments Lain.
Present day. Present time.
I do wonder if all that makes sense next episode at some point, or if that's just like something that will never click or make sense. I pray we get some conclusion there. The entire last section of the OP is so interesting still to me. It's been since the beginning, but with more clarity on things happening in the show, it just feels like more. You can just erase any problem if there's anything wrong. But we can retry. For you. Who's that? I did good, didn't I? You're the only one who can do that. She's like, I got you. I got it. I figured out the world. But there were within the minds of... So perception. And also getting the visual of her direct, like, from the OP. Is this the existence of her within the minds of them? Hey. We're constantly in the same flashing of that, though. その物理的な制約が人の進化をとどめているのだとしたら、それは人という種の終わりを意もしない神によって決定づけられているようなものだ。How does that work? その個体が意識を受けて得たものだけではない。As a collective. 人という種が連綿とつながり続け、情報をその中に蓄積してきた。それは共有されねば何の意味もない。ただのデータでしかない。It's just memories. 自分の力で。そのためにはまず自分の本当の姿を知らなくてはいけない。君は自分を何だと思う？人と人とはもともとつながっていたのさ。僕がしたことはそれを元に戻しただけに過ぎない。君がそれを引き起こしたんだ、レイン。だから君は好きなことをしている。クライアントはエイリ・マサミと通じていた。いや、その意志はエイリのものだったのかもしれん。やめてくれよ。エイリなんて死んだ男じゃねえか。Only the physical body. Kill the man, but you can't kill the idea. Can't kill the consciousness. They're here. Pressing the Benz. What's in the suitcase? これまでの報酬ってわけか。俺たちははめられたんだな。どう解釈しようが専門なくて衛星がカバーしてないエリア。この地球にそんなところあるはずねえだろ。Exactly. We're creating something like that. 何が起こるんだ？デバイスなしでワイヤードとリアルワールドをつないでどうするつもりなんだ？素敵なことが起こるんだ。I don't think it will be. Gotta be honest with you, brother. I'm not. Actually, for the sake of how interesting it could be, yeah. Well. Is it as if it's a TV broadcast that we get to see, but essentially a broadcast that's being uploaded and transmitted through the connection and mind of others that then they're able to see her? And it's like spreading the message and connecting. I don't know. because it's allowing for transmission through things that aren't even beings, like through like they didn't. It's not like they like signed up for anything or did anything, you know. They actually look like that. Am I bugging or she look a little different here? It might just be the lighting. Still take off your shoes. This fits perfectly within this scene. Oh, you came. I feel like she's gonna be like excited. Oh no, she's all wrapped up again. Oh. That's the eyes. Awesome. You're the only one who had good memories of me. I do it all for you. You didn't need any of that. Yeah. Right. In the same way that everyone else did. These shots of Lain are so good. I think it does. What we've said since the beginning. Utilization of something too that you can't physically have with the other version without the body. Yeah. You don't need it. Why is it doing it? That's such an awful mindset. No, is that easy? Because you don't need to. She's the only one you were able to without. Oh.
それらは人間の進化に伴って生まれたものじゃないか。最も進化した人間はそれにより高い機能を持たせる権利がある。
Okay. Who's above you?
地球の固有振動にシンクロさせたコードをプロトコル7に組み込むことで集合的無意識を意識へと転移させるプログラム。それ本当にあなたが考え出したことなの？
何を言いたいのだ。まさか本当に神がいるなどと。
I'm not even saying all that. I'm just saying you might not be.
期待を失ったあなたにはもうわからないこと。
嘘だ。僕は万能なんだよ。僕が君をこのリアルワールドに肉体化させてあげたんだぞ。ワイヤードに偏在していた君に自我を与え、それに
私がそうだとしたらあなたは
You gave it to me, but who gave it to you?
僕は
Whoa.
確かにワイヤードでは神様だ。
Within the world, what are you?
ワイヤードができる前はあなたはワイヤードが今のようにできるまで待っていた。誰かさんの代理の神様。
代理だ。嘘だ。
アリス、あなたには肉体なんて無意味なんでしょ？
Why create? Different visual displays throughout the episode have been really strong. Ah. What a weird episode. Not that any episode of Lain isn't, but like weird in the sense that it gives us answers, but it makes me just feel weird. Like, I don't know a better way to describe it. I think there's some particularly interesting comments and things that get made, but I'd rather go through the episode and kind of structure it a little better as we do that. So picking up roughly where we left off with erasing of Arisu and her memory and mind and everything that kind of, not her memory, but the memory and stuff of others, of understanding that's going on, and Lain seemingly being overly enthused and thrilled that this scenario is even a thing, is rather interesting. Yeah, you know, when things are bad, just do this instead and everything works itself out, except nobody really has the power to. But do you, is the question, you know? Rewrite your bad memories, right? Or rewrite the bad memories. It can't be done in the sense that Lain does it, but in a way you can kind of cloud them with other good and positive things that almost suppress the negatives to no longer be a thought within one's mind, right? So there's positives and things that can kind of be done in a sort of way to make things a little better on your own end, and kind of get through and past this, I think, is kind of the best way that you can frame it for somebody who doesn't have the same sort of technical abilities here that Lain really finds herself with. People only have substance within the memories of others, and that's why there's all kinds of me's. I don't like this, I'll be honest, at all. I think the general, when we go in a direction, because it's not the only series that has done it, where people perceive you in different ways than yourself, as utilizing it as a form of, this is why all the different lanes and versions of her that we're essentially kind of seeing are who they are and have their own versions of themselves, are just, it's kind of, it just feels a little weak as a way to almost remove a lot of the different like layers and depth that could be utilized within the story and for her as a person and a character, and kind of just feel like there's no need for it anymore, because now everything that we've like theorized and thought regarding all of these different versions and things that we've seen her, the different ones that smile and make these faces and do all these things regardless if they occur or not, are all perceptions and things that we see from other people's minds and thoughts and memories and remembrance and stuff of her and what they make up and kind of perceive her to be, which is a little bit, I don't know. It just feels a little weak to me, and I don't particularly love it. I would just love if we just didn't maybe go that route. But I mean, it's I don't know. It works as an explanation. Like there's no flaw within it working that leaves like holes. But it's more of just I would prefer for us to have not went that sort of way. But we ended up doing it, so we just got to kind of stick on the. I kissed an angel in the same sense that he has his own perception and things, specifically kind of regarding her here. I do like the different flashes and sequences we get where we get to see her here to utilize like, or to call back almost to what the OP showcases us, but at the same exact time, just be some sort of vision in these things that these people are kind of like seeing and having this info and everything uploaded almost through them within the connection of everybody's like thoughts and minds being within one. So it's, I don't know. I like it though. I like that part. Seamlessly allow everything between the two worlds. This is the following message. Let's all love Lain. The body is a machine, but if whatever your body withholds cannot, allow you to flourish and be who you are and restricts you in some sort of thing, we will see mankind itself kind of have a collapse or have a fall. And that's determined by a god that doesn't even exist. Information etched inside a human isn't only in which they themselves are acquired as individuals. This whole thing here is interesting too, just kind of connecting the species of man to the others and having all that information kind of like passed down and absorbed within one, and it becomes meaningless if not. And it's what allows for evolution itself is kind of what they're getting at, and you have to know what you truly are to be able to do it, as people were originally once connected in some sort of way. It's interesting for me for a few different ways, right? The idea of passing down these things for evolution is really intriguing, because it can be talked about, I guess, in a few different ways, but the most likely just simply being we obtain some sort of knowledge, newfound information, newly like acquired things that we learn, and then we can pass that along to the next generation of people. And as you pass those things along, they discover and make new discoveries on their own, and then it just allows for somebody else in a future generation, and you continuously pass these things down to ultimately be able to have something. But if that information is not shared and is kind of kept to yourself and is not, allowed in any sort of way for us to, I guess, share these things, it allows for no evolution itself. It allows for these future creations and these things to allow man to continue onward to no longer exist, which is evident by exactly where we are within the world nowadays, right? The everything that we essentially have at our own disposal here is product and result of things that have occurred tens to hundreds to thousands of years ago, right? And all of that information has kind of helped us, but through their own sort of idea and method is if we can create one sort of conscious mind and collective of it, the constant evolution is guaranteed, as opposed to being limited in some sort of capacity through people maybe not having the same sort of information that they can gather and obtain as others, and maybe being in like those same sort of scenarios. But instead we now find a mind that has full capacity of like obtaining everything to allow for that, which is interesting, because it's not necessarily wrong, I guess, in that aspect, but I don't know in what way they want to continually develop themselves as a consciousness as opposed to the physical being. But I guess if they reconnect the two worlds in some sort of meaningful way, it allows them to then take on a physical being at some later point that allows them to use that collective thought to create and continue on, which could work. And the idea of memories too, of just having like a simple idea of where you can take all these things and these knowledges and like just everything that you have stuck within your own head, right? And if you're not on a particular high impact level in some sort of way, everything that you pass on to somebody else will continue to be passed on. But if it's nothing meaningful, and maybe it's just like some like weird like stories or these things that just don't like really that matter in the long run, right? Eventually those things are going to run out. Eventually you're not going to be remembered. Eventually your own thoughts and the things that kind of occupied your own mind will never be collectively kind of passed on, unless you stand for some sort of great thing that kind of progressed humanity in some sort of way. So we find ourselves in a situation here where if you do connect all that stuff, even those minimal things that maybe you would think would be completely useless find themselves proving of use at some later point. I think is kind of where I'm taking and getting belief of it. This whole scene I don't think I get at all. He's not dead, whether he has a body or not doesn't really matter, and that's just because of the situation that we find ourselves in, and them also just being aware, or Carl at least being well aware of his own job and kind of what they're working after. We find the other guy that we've been working with for a little bit and find out that he's been kind of playing us in some sort of way. Not really too certain what exactly his intentions or goals. I mean, I guess he could just be working within under for something regarding Eri, and having the same sort of idea and feelings as him. Go somewhere that a place that isn't covered by saddle lines and off satellite and everything. Yeah, that's exactly where the Wired is. So it'd make you under the assumption he's been working for that the entire time while striking a pose completely. I don't know, him putting down the suitcase, is it just something that was like within it or did something that caused the connection and allowed for this guy to kind of be connected and taken over in some sort of way here? I also don't know why Carl would see this and then just willingly kind of not take his own anything off that he's wearing. I mean, I guess it could just be the system and stuff that he's wearing finds a way to kind of be etched in and like connect to him. But I don't know, that seems a little weird to me. We get a Risu here. She looked relatively different, but it might just be the lighting to me that I'm seeing here. I don't know why the fuck she still takes off her shoes when she goes into like the worst area that she could possibly go into, but good for her, I guess. I appreciate that. Seeing the sister just works perfectly in this situation, but everything's destroyed until we're finally able to go and meet with Miss Lain and have a little bit of a conversation, seeing her like this. I love the shots of Lain through the lighting, the redness kind of to her hair, the awfully pale skin, how big her eyes, the black within her eyes kind of get how red everything else is, I think is really awesome. I've just been kind of watching. I haven't really done anything. Why only me? Why you erase everybody else's memory of these things, but instead you just leave me, you know? Why do I have to carry on and remember all these things when everybody else kind of just gets like a fresh start instead? Do you actually hate me and you want me to like suffer and go through these things? Natural feelings, I think, that you could have in a situation like this, but it's the exact opposite, which I really like Lane's kind of reasoning for it here and what she does. You're okay, right? You were my friend without even connecting to me. You didn't require the Wired. You didn't require any of these other sort of things for us to kind of connect, and instead you were there for me. I like it has been showcased multiple times. I do wish it was more prominent throughout the episodes, though, to allow for this scene to be more impactful and just feel a little stronger to me, because as opposed, like, it doesn't feel wrong because it is correct with everything that's being said, but I just don't feel as impacted as I almost feel like I should, which I would probably just mark down to a lack of on-screen time kind of between Lain and Arisu, besides for simple like 2 or 3 different, one conversation that really helped out Lain, like on the roof. Actually, I think there might have been 2, but the second one was kind of short. Moments within the bedroom, which wasn't really like a deep conversation on any sort of level, but was instead just Lain being a little weird. Like there wasn't, and maybe like 1 or 2 conversations in group settings, it wasn't really like a strong thing that made me feel, I don't know, a real connection between the two. I felt it more on a level than any of the other characters, of course, but I do think that if it had been a little stronger, this scene would have been maybe a little bit more impactful kind of for me. But you were the only person who truly like wanted to be my friend in some sort of way too, so I'm going to do whatever I can to kind of willingly help you, which is pretty sweet at the end of the day. Connecting to me and everybody. I love you. You're important to me. Humans were all created originally or connected originally on an unconscious level. So I just kind of reconnected that. So I wonder in that whole scenario, because we later get it with Eri kind of appearing and talking about being a creator in some sort of way, and then now us reconnecting the minds, if the meaning almost behind that is a similar sort of way that there's a grand creator of, say, everybody, and if that creator himself were to be the one in charge of creating all, he kind of had them all connected on some sort of like similar wavelength through the connection that they had. But eventually over time, when you expand to more and more people, I don't know if he necessarily means it as in a new creator eventually comes along, which then creates like splits in the timeline almost, where it puts certain individuals created by others no longer obtaining and possessing of like a similar kind of knowledge that the original creator of like all ended up having, which then creates like all these splits that no longer allows all to be unified. Or if he just simply means because of the mass creation of others, it's like literally just the simple like single branch that then goes down into 2, that goes to 4, that goes to 8, and as you do that, we're no longer as like unified on a single line. There's instead like a million tiers now instead of just one, where all info is kind of processed and pushed up to the highest level. It's instead just passed down from certain like individuals on their own level in their own layer, I guess we could almost say, that's then individually pushed down, is the feeling that I'm getting with the way that they kind of like set a lot of this stuff up and worded it. So we can revert it back almost to one by then having a figure of Lain being that then reconnects all information and knowledge and to being one. I'm a program that's specifically designed to destroy the barrier. Once again, confirmation on her own end, or awareness of who she is and what her kind of job is. You're just applications that kind of work within the program, and you just don't even need a body. And I love Arisa's response here too. Creating some sort of physical touch and connection here that allows Lain to possibly see something that isn't actually like it's not something that you can just say, right? It's a physical feeling that you have to almost go through to understand and to be able to get. Through feeling of heartbeat, through feeling of warmth and cold, through feeling of these different sort of connections and these things that you wouldn't be able to get through a simple connection of minds almost, right? Of all of us being on the same kind of conscious wavelength. It doesn't do the exact sort of thing that this scene itself is kind of giving, which is a really wonderful thing and allows it for it to be enough for her to understand that maybe there is some sort of importance placed within the body itself, which I think is pretty cool. You are alive. Understand that it's not just a thought of the mind either, but there's a physical beating parts of this body too that make up what exactly you are and your life for what it is. Once again, you're smiling, but you're scared, right? Why are you scared if you're smiling? It's one of those things. I've always been. This is almost a way of kind of coping with it. But look who decides to come in and decides to try and push us even further, block all those negatives, take them out of your mind. None of that stuff needs to be the case. We only need these pleasant, happy things, and we can all connect to one. If you really loved her, you'd connect and you'd share this, right? Just pushing her further and further, where of course she can't understand or see any of this, but trying to put her in a direction that achieves the objective overall. Being able to see the hand is interesting. I don't really even have a read as to why that's the case. I don't understand you at all. You removed all of these things from the Wired itself, but without those, you couldn't have done anything. Those creations, the evolution of all of that stuff has created what exactly you're trying to create here as well. It's attributed to all of that stuff. I don't get, so the ones who are further evolved than others have greater rights. Like, what does he mean by that? No, even the stuff he says after, I don't think really adds to that. Is it just like some sort of, there's people that obtain things that maybe they shouldn't, or that they should be able to have to like share a pass or do things through others because there's others that are at certain like mental levels that certain individuals can't? I don't know. Raises the collective unconscious to a conscious level, but did you yourself even come up with that idea? And then I like the pushback once again here. I think they do a really good job at presenting the ideas that have been like real themes throughout the entirety of this and speculation on it, and then giving confirmation almost in ways of pushback from another character itself. You're saying that there really is a God, but it doesn't matter because you don't have a body and you can't understand. I gave you that. I'm the reason that you're even a being to begin with. I gave you everything that's here. All right, that's true, but where did you come from? Which I really like that as well. It's the you can be a godlike figure yourself. You can consider yourself to be a god. You can be the god himself, but where did your creation essentially come from, right? Who if there's a creator of me and there's a creator of everybody else, where exactly did you come from? The one who's the creator of that. Did you have a creator yourself? Did you somehow create yourself out of nothing? Were you just here? Without the past and without all these things talking about evolution of humanity itself, you wouldn't have achieved the physical body that you were given at some sort of point. You wouldn't be who you sort of are now. You wouldn't have the opportunity for any of this stuff, and pushing on the way of like what exactly you are is really cool. You might be this godlike figure, this being within the creation of what the Wired actually is and what you're trying to do here, but within the own world, the thing that you can't physically understand through what you are, through this connection and this touch and everything that her and Arisu just kind of went through, and Lain just had the full-on experience of understanding really for the first time almost here. You'll never be able to kind of understand those things, or you'll never be able to, because of the form that you take, and you don't control, and you're not a godlike figure that can almost give life and birth to all these things within this sort of world either. So what exactly do you find yourself to be? And all of that being a strong question. I think that makes him really angry, probably full well knowing this, and maybe he didn't know it, but for the first time allowing him to be like, wait, what the fuck? And really sends him into like just pieces here, which then create this, which is really cool. Yeah, you're God within the Wired, but what were you before the Wired was created, right? You weren't a god before then, so something else had to come out of its way and be able to create you, that then allowed the Wire to get to where it is, which I think is cool. The being here is really awesome. I love the way it looks. I love the way it kind of moves. A body doesn't mean anything to you, so why are you taking a physical form to be able to do something like this too? It is awesome. As he gets kind of absorbed and connected into this piece, which is essentially the thing in the being that we were seeing on the outside of her own home, and another piece, I believe, within the ED visuals, if I'm correct. It's like kind of like her, I would assume, like wrapped within the sort of thing that is this. I don't know. Pretty cool. Pretty interesting. I'm curious just kind of where we go now. Usually I take a little break and then we come back, but I think I'm just going to kind of go watch the next episode now and see how they wrap things up. So yeah, I guess look out for that one. Hopefully you guys enjoy. If you like it all, the like and subscribe to my feel free to check out the channel, comments with this better series. I'll be back for the finale soon. It was a great one. Peace.